with our sponsor announcements. Each of our, two of our sponsors, NEXO and Bonex Exchange, would want to share some updates with the community. So let's hear from them. George, do you have a presentation you want to share, or are you just? I've muted all the participants, so you have to unmute yourself before you speak up.
Right. Yes, I do. But in order to share it,
I'll make you a host. There you go.
Okay. Perfect. Do you see the whole screen now?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So I'll try to make it quick. Last time we took some more time, but and this time again we have a lot of news. Really a ton of stuff going on. Both.
I'll cut you off in 5 minutes at the mark. So be quick.
Okay, let's go. So hey all, my name is George. I do business development at NEXO for almost 3 years now. Since we were like a small team of a few people. Now we're close to 200 people managing more than $15 billion worth of assets. And this update will take 2 parts. First, covering kind of like our international and platform related news. And then we'll talk a little about our Bulgaria focused news. So first and foremost, there was a major update to the NEXO token, which is top 100 token. So recently we put a proposal to our community to vote for the token to stop paying its dividends and to start paying daily interest payouts, as we and the community believe that this will help the token to be listed on more exchanges, to have higher liquidity, to have less volatility, and to be a more flexible, to provide a better utility for the users of the platform. So this vote was passed successfully. And so now the NEXO token gives you this daily dose of passive income, daily yield that you can get once you have NEXO tokens on the platform. As this happened, we distributed our final dividend. So before the governance vote, we had distributed a total of $10 million. Now we distributed yet another 20 million. So that's total of a little more than 30 million worth of tokens that we have distributed as dividends over the past 3 years since the company was launched. Something that we're quite proud of. And then moving on to the next, we keep working on improving our flagship product in the whole crypto space, the instant crypto credit lines, which are by far the most flexible, fully automated solution for anyone who wants to borrow credit products in the whole industry. This new feature, collateral exchange feature, allows people who have taken a loan already to be exchanging the assets that are backing this loan, while they're backing it. So, like for example, if you for example use Bitcoin and Ether as collateral, in early April you could have exchanged your Bitcoin for Ether, enjoyed that uprising of the Ether, that uptrend of Ether as it went up, and then you could have exchanged that back to Bitcoin and stacked more sats if that's kind of like what you're aiming for. So pretty neat new feature. We were also huge at Bitcoin Miami, the biggest Bitcoin, and actually not just Bitcoin, but global real life event ever since the COVID started. We were huge there. We had one of our co-founders joining at the Whale Day discussion. We were supporting actively the Bitcoin art gallery. We were basically everywhere. Not sure if someone who's watching here was there at the event, but everyone who was there, I mean, you basically couldn't miss NEXO. We were literally all over the place, absolutely crushing it. A huge heads up to our marketing and PR team. They did an amazing job there. Also, like new stuff, we've now added Polkadot's native asset onto the platform, as we allow now our clients to buy, sell, borrow, and earn on their DOT on the NEXO platform. And soon we'll also let them to deposit and withdraw. This is kind of like the only limitation at this point, but we'll get there also. And naturally also, as you know, Anthony is now a regular guest on all kinds of like top business media. And this month he's done the same on Bloomberg, being featured on Wall Street Journal and Yahoo Finance as well. Talking about obviously the huge news of El Salvador, kind of like the first in the many, I personally hope, and we all hope, I hope on this call that we'll get there. And now onto the Bulgarian news. So here, you know, we last month we announced our campaign about.
Sorry, George, I'm gonna have to cut you off here. You again went over time, man.
Give me 1 minute, okay? So we launched this campaign for promoting great historians, and that's been super successful, reaching tons of people. One of our VP of engineering, Alexander, bought the 2 big NFTs that were launched by Capital Economedia recently. Probably you came across them, so that was huge. We donated $10,000 leva to Zajedno v Čas, Teach for Bulgaria, as a whole company like took part in the initiative. Two of our people also did a huge feat by riding a bike across the whole seaside of Bulgaria in this cause to donate the $10,000. And then we also had like other people from the team being featured talking about recent trends, NFTs again, our head of design, and kind of like the trend of Bulgarians coming back to work for NEXO. And last but not least, we had Anthony talking on Digital K about the huge mega trend of crypto. That's it. Thanks, Ivan.
Awesome. Cheers. So yeah, just on the topic of news, this time we won't be presenting news. George, can you get me back as a host, please? And but Militsa has discussed the news in her blog post, and you know, if you want, we can maybe have touch upon the main events at the end during the Q&A, but we don't have a structured presentation of the news. And now one of our other sponsors, Bonex Exchange, and David will have a few words before we can hand over to Martin.
One sec. How do I make you a host again? Oh man.
Click on me and then you know.
Oh yeah, right. One sec.
David, unmute yourself and share your update.
All right. Hi guys, my name is David Bonev. I am the co-founder and CFO of the leading crypto exchange in Bulgaria, Bonex. I'm gonna give you just a few updates. Some of it it's for the local market. Some of the news is actually concerning all of the European miners. So I'm gonna be very quick. First of all, we're going to be the first crypto exchange that is going to introduce USDT in Bulgaria. The problem here is that the national bank has some regulatory problems with that, but finally, with the help of our legal team, kudos to them, we're finally breaking in, and starting mid-July, we're going to allow this to happen in order for our clients to have a lightning quick possibility of exchanging their crypto in real time without having to wait. The other interesting thing is that by the end of July, we're going to introduce 10 altcoins into our crypto exchange. The first one that we're going to start with, it's Ravencoin. I would like to concentrate on that specifically. Why? First of all, Ravencoin, I don't know if you guys know, but it's a cold fork of Bitcoin, fair launch, proof of work, mined chained with an asset-aware protocol that allows users to easily create and manage unique digital assets. Ravencoin also has a higher market cap, more nodes, hash power, decentralization in a larger community that Bitcoin did at this stage pre-halving. This, of course, doesn't put us ahead of King Bitcoin, of course. It's due to the industry growth and increased knowledge, but this is one really strong network. Ravencoin also took inspiration from Bitcoin in structure. No pre-mine or set aside, no human element or connection to the legacy world, no crowd sale or fundraise, just a free code given away for people to use. The growth is organic, not funded, and every coin from burned energy. So what exactly we're going to do and what's the innovative part here is that, I think at the moment only Binance and another exchange are offering Raven. The problem in Europe is specifically with the banks. If you're a miner, and let me just concentrate to that. Just one or a year ago, whoever was mining Ethereum with video cards that were below or up to 6 gigabytes now are obsolete in order to mine Ethereum. So with using those same machines instead of throwing them out, Raven coin came on board, and everybody, and I mean everybody in Europe and the world who does not have the possibility to mine Ethereum now mines Raven coin. But then this specific problem appears, and this specific problem is the banks. Even if you sell your crypto via an exchange, in order for you to move that money, let's say US dollars or euro, into your bank account, you know that the banks specifically in Europe are having quite a problem with actually receiving funds from crypto exchange. The thing is that Bonex has perfect connections with banks in Bulgaria, and with a partner bank I'm not going to mention now, we're going to be able to send money to any client in Europe, anywhere in any bank. And that's a very big community, up to 2 million people. So pretty much that's the news I wanted to share. And I hope a lot of people are happy from that, especially in Europe.
Thanks, David. And like I think some mining equipment going obsolete is a good is a good segue in today's topic, where Martin will talk with us about proof of work versus proof of stake, and how the space is evolving. So yeah, Martin, take it away. You're already a host, so you can start sharing your presentation.
All right, thank you very much for the updates. Let me try to share my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah, you can full screen it.
Just give me one more. All right, I think now it's all right.
Yes.
So
just one note for everyone. Feel free to, like, in the chat here in Zoom, you can send messages. So if you have some questions or comments, just feel free to drop them in.
okay, thank you, Ivan, again. So my name is Marton, and this evening I'll try to form a topic regarding proof of work versus proof of stake. So I have prepared a short presentation, and my idea is to form some sort of discussion at the end, which will be more interesting, not so boring. So yeah, now a couple of words about me. My name is Marton. I'm an IT engineer. And I've been working in very different areas in the IT. I started as a web developer. Now work as IT engineer in the cloud and servers area. I'm also crypto and blockchain enthusiast. And just to clarify that this photo here, that's not me. This is just from the template. Okay, I've been involved in crypto since January 2014. First time I heard about a Bitcoin was on a crypto meetup in London in January. I used to work there as an IT manager, a small IT department. And then I got really in love into the whole idea of crypto, decentralization, blockchain, and so on. So I started Bitcoin mining immediately. Then later I subscribed to Introduction to Digital Currencies program in the University of Nicosia, and my teacher was Andreas Sotonopoulos, which for me is kind of the god of everything related to crypto. So that's all about me. So let's start from there. What are proof of work and proof of stake? What are those? So they're both consensus mechanisms which serve us to validate the transaction, the transactions, and to confirm transactions on the blockchain. So when Satoshi Nakamoto was building it, the whole idea about the Bitcoin, he was looking to find a way for transaction to be verified without the need to use a third party, and he decided that proof of work is like the best approach back then. So basically, this is the only way for everybody to be sure that the transaction is valid and that someone isn't trying to perform a double spend. And everything is based on cryptography and mathematics, which not very less people understand. All right, so the proof of work is the original consensus mechanism in a blockchain network. It's been used the first time, as I mentioned, in the Bitcoin. So a little bit more about the proof of work. Basically, the cryptography uses complex mathematical equations, or also called puzzles, and only powerful computers can guess those puzzles. So that's the whole idea of the proof of work. Also, when the puzzle has been solved, the network node transaction is authentic, and so everybody in the network is aware that it's authentic. The Bitcoin mining is basically the puzzle that is solved by the miners, and they get a reward for creating the next block in the blockchain. It's, as you probably know, it consumes a large quantities of energy because it uses quite expensive hardware to solve those puzzles. Very powerful hardware which has powerful chips, processors, and so on. And what miner is, the first miner to solve the problem is awarded in Bitcoin, and the transaction is added to the blockchain, or also called digital ledger. Basically, the miner is also called the guy who invests in expensive computer or piece of hardware which is optimized for mining purposes. And as I said, the first miner who solves it, he gets the reward. A little bit more about the proof of stake. That's alternative consensus mechanism, which has been used recently and which I guess you all have heard about. So the proof of stake consists of a few things. The first one is the validator node, which is the somewhat randomly chosen to validate the next block. But sometimes it depends on the stake proportion of the coins. Also, it's important to note here that the size of the stake coins determines the chances of validator to be chosen to forge the next block. Usually there is a maximum required coins to be staked. In order to become a validator node, in order to become a validator, a node has to deposit a certain amount of coins into the network, which I said is also called stake. Sometimes if a fraudulent validator appears, for example, he's trying to create a double duplicated transaction, then he gets a penalty. And the validator nodes receive the fees that are associated with each transaction. Basically, that's the way how they earn profits and how they support the coin, the blockchain. All right, so now let's go to the more interesting part, which is the proof of work versus proof of stake, or also mining versus staking. Okay, first, the mining, as I said, it started about 2000 or 2010, first with the soul mining. That's the first one that was appeared back then. The soul miner, he performs all the work alone by himself, just by connecting a machine to the network, and gets a full reward when a block is being found. It's not very efficient nowadays because it could take years or decades to find a block, because you need to compete with all the other miners on the network. And that's why nowadays the most common way of mining is the mining in a pool. Basically, this is a joint group of miners who define all their computational stuff over the network to straighten the probability to find the block. And the reward is split fairly between the miners according to their resources. The more resources you plug into the network, the bigger reward you get. And the hardware required for mining depends a lot on the mining algorithm, but it's definitely expensive. And nowadays it's done via powerful and hungry for electricity ASICs and VGA cards, which I'll show you in a minute. So a little bit background. This is this machine that you probably have seen, some of you that have been dealing with mining back then. That's the second machine which I bought from mining, and I guess for about 6 months. This was Spondulier Stack. It has nothing to do with the current miners, the Bitmine and the other Chinese manufacturers, because this one is really state of the art. This machine, it's very well made. It can last like 100 years, and it was the most powerful machine back then, and also the most expensive. The performance of those machines is measured in terahashes. This one was 4 to 4.5 terahash, and the consumption was between 2 and 3 kilowatts. So it consumes like, the consumption is equal like to maybe 3 ovens or 2 ovens, depends how economical your oven at home is, but it was quite a good machine. And also, as you see, I put it on an old cabinet in my granny's room because she didn't live there anymore. So I had empty room in my house. I started from there, and it was very nice because it was generating a lot of heat. During the winter, I didn't need to pay for heating in the house. And also, I used to put the laundry there, so the laundry used to get dry for only 1 hour. And even in the warmer winter days, I had to keep all the windows open because the temperature inside the room was getting more than 30 degrees, despite the fact that the door was open to the whole apartment.
In terms of hash power, how does that compare to like like a miner that you would be buying today, just for people to get an idea of like the progression in hashing requirements?
Yeah, this is something that I have put on the next slide, which I'll tell you in a minute. So basically, that's all about it. I wanted to share about these machines. I used it for 6 months, then I sold it because it get obsolete. Unfortunately, this is a fact in mining machines, that they got obsolete very, very quickly. And this is a modern ASIC, which actually is way cheaper than the machine that I bought back then. And as you can see, the hashing power is between 90 and 100, actually it's 110 terahashes. If you go back to the previous slide, mine was 4.5 terahashes. So this one here is, I think that the model right is a Watts miner, N31S, and on the left it's Antminer S19 Pro. The S19 Pro is 100 terahashes, as I said, it's a mistake here in the slide. And this one is like 20-25 times more efficient than the machine that I used to have 6 years ago. So you can imagine 25 times more efficient. It equals to like 25 machines of the one that I show you. And the consumption is similar. And this one is even smaller. It takes less space, and it's much lightweight. The other machines was quite, that I show you, this one was quite heavy. All right, and what else I wanted to show here? That miners, yeah, want to show about the mining farms. That mining nowadays is done mostly in mining farms. Most of those have been built, have appeared in the last 5 years. So that's nowadays it's not very efficient to mine at home anymore. Also a bit about Ethereum mining, because the previous machines which I show you were mostly for Bitcoin mining. Actually, there are also machines which have been used for other cryptocurrency mining, for example, like Whitecoin, and looks just like this one here. Ethereum mining is mostly done via video cards. There are also some sort of ASICs. ASIC is basically a machine which has been built only for this specific purpose. It cannot be used for something else. This is how typical Ethereum mining rig looks like. All right, let me go again, explain a little bit about the staking here. So the staking involves holding or locking funds by fund signing the specific coin that you are staking. You have to lock this coin somewhere, usually in a wallet, to support the transaction validation and also the confirmation. That's how staking started. It's very similar to soul mining. This is called soul staking, but it's more efficient also to stake in pools. Of course, it has up and downs. I will talk about it in a second. The staking pools allows multiple stakeholders or investors to combine their resources. In our case, that's the coins. That's the way to increase their chances of being rewarded. So they get a very small rewards, but they get it very frequently. Like with the soul staking, you need to wait for a very long time to get this reward. So the thing that I need to mention here that all those coins need to be locked during the staking period. You cannot use them. What are the requirements here? For the staking, you don't need any hardware at all. You need hardware only if you want to do soul mining, soul staking. If you're going to stake soul, you need to buy like maybe small cheap computer, or I think some people are even using a Raspberry Pi for staking, which costs like $20–30 or something. So you don't need expensive and also power hungry machine, which will consume a lot of electricity and generates a lot of heat, which should be taken under consideration. But if you're doing staking in a pool, you don't need to invest in any hardware. So eventually you can buy a hardware crypto wallet and just keep your coins there. But you don't need to invest in hardware. Like, for example, if you're mining in a pool, then you still need to have hardware. Okay, a little bit about the proof of work efficiency. As I said, the first coin which used the proof of work consensus mechanism was the Bitcoin. It started since 2009, 2010. It uses different mining algorithm. The Bitcoin is the SHA-256. The mining algorithm, it depends from the mining algorithm. You need to choose your hardware. That's the thing that you need to take into consideration. The machine that I showed you in a couple of slides ago that I used to own 6 years ago, I can only mine Bitcoin because those processors in this machine are optimized only for this mining algorithm. Like for example, with Ethereum, you can do it with video cards. You can actually mine with video cards any type of currency, because on the video cards you can amend the software, but they will not be efficient for mining Bitcoin. So Bitcoin needs to take ASIC. So the efficiency, the proof of work currencies is not the best one. For the Bitcoin, it's like 7 to 8 transactions per second, as you can see here. The block confirmation is 10 minutes. For the Litecoin, it's a bit better because the block confirmation is 4 times quicker. It's about 50 transactions per second. Ethereum is also not very efficient. It's 15 to 20 transactions per second at the moment. I guess you already have heard that the Ethereum, or maybe have experienced that the Ethereum network is very congestion. Ethereum luckily will switch to POS soon. Unfortunately, nobody knows when this will happen. But when it switches to POS, it would be much more promising. Regarding the proof of stake efficiency, for the proof of stake, as I said, one should stake some coins. I don't know if, can you guess which one's the first coin which implemented proof of stake? It was the Peer coin. To be honest, I have never heard about this coin, but it looks this was the first one. It was implemented in 2000. 2012. And that was the first coin which implemented the proof of stake algorithm. For each coin, there is a different rules, how many coins should be staked. For Dash coin, for example, is 1,000 coins. For the Cardano, is 340 coins. The transactions per second are a little bit more efficient here. For the Dash coins, is 35. For the peer coin, it's not efficient at all because it was the first one, as I said. But for the Cardano, it's 257, and the latest updates that are expected to happen sometime soon. We were promised 1 to 2 million transactions per second. There are also other proof of stake currencies. Here I've put the oldest ones that have been appeared on the market. Now they're much more efficient. For example, like Tezos, Cosmos, Solana, which I have heard that it promises about 50,000 transactions per second. And with this kind of transactions per second, you will be ready for the mass adoption of the cryptocurrencies.
Здравейте, гледате Лице в лице. Продължаваме с предизборните разговори. Знаете, те са безплатни и по регламент, изработен от BTV, с който са запознати партиите и коалициите. Първият ми гост днес е Татяна Дончева от Изправи се Мутриван.
Can you please mute yourself, Martin?
Здравейте, госпожо Дончева. Добър ден. Каква е оценката ви за работата на служебното правителство до този момент?
Като генерална линия прави каквото трябва за измитане на модела ГЕРБ, за изваждане на лалугерите от дупките, за...
So let me know when you can... All right, so let me continue. Okay, where was I? So yeah, I was on this slide here. So basically, I think I've told everything that I wanted to share regarding the cryptocurrencies. So they'll be ready for mass adoption soon. So now we're getting to the most interesting part of the presentation, the pros and cons of the proof of work. So for me, to be honest, this is all my opinion here. So we can discuss it after those couple of slides. You can tell me what do you think. So for me, the proof of work is the most prominent technology. The Bitcoins, especially not only Bitcoin, but other cryptocurrencies, for example, Litecoin and so on. Even our favorite Dogecoin is using it. It's been proven, it's been working fine for the last 10 to 12 years. It's been really solid and secure. Also, from my perspective, the development of the renewable energy sources, that's also a huge advantage because since the mining started, I think this kind of gave a push to the development of the new green and renewable energy sources. Also, something that I didn't put here, another advantage for me is the development of the hardware because since the development of new ASICs has started, this gave a huge push to the processing power. As I mentioned, for 6 years, it's 25 times the whole processing power has been increased by keeping the power consumption. For me, this is amazing, like to have like 25 times more powerful machine just in 6 years. And if you go back from the beginning, I think that's 100 times more powerful machines. Also, something that I mentioned, the dissipated heat can be reused. For example, that I use it by heat my house for like 6 months during the winter. Unfortunately, when the summer came, I had to sell my machine first of all because it was kind of obsolete and it was too hot. But for the cold conditions, it can be used for heating your house, or it can be used for dry your laundry. I'm sure there are also so many other use cases for the heat that can be reused because currently in most cases it's being wasted. The cons are it's so inefficient. Unfortunately, you cannot have so many transactions per second by using the other method. As I said, the large electricity consumptions, which we'll discuss in a second. The specific hardware requirements, as I said, the i6 video cards, it's expensive hardware, it's very specific one. It's even different to get nowadays, even the video cards in a bull market. I believe we are still in a such right now. It's very difficult to get a proper video card because all the miners are buying it directly from the manufacturer. Also, it's not suitable for non-technical user. I think one should be technical in order to set up a machine, to connect to the internet, to set up the machine, and to start mining. Also, there are kind of concerns regarding the decentralization, especially with China, which we also discuss in a second. The proof of stake pros and cons. The first major one is environmental friendly because it doesn't consume an energy. Eventually, if you have your own network node on which you stake your coins, on which you lock your coins for staking, it will consume just a tiny bit of energy that would consume a miner. No specific hardware is mandatory. You can basically stake on any machine. I believe you can even do it on your phone. Better performance and efficiency than the proof of work in general. Here comes the negative sides. Some coins require a large amount to stake. For example, Dashcoin, it required like 1,000. I believe there was a time when the cost of one Dashcoin, the previous bear market was like 300 euros. So you would need like 300,000 euros in order to invest in Dashcoin to start taking. Of course, you can do it in a pool, but doing it in a pool, there is other concerns there. Volatility market risk, something that needs to be considered. For example, if you buy a Dashcoin for like 300 euros, if you have bought in 2017 during the bear market, then it collapsed to less than 100 euros. So if you have bought it for staking purposes, you would lose because the value of the coin has been decreased significantly. So, and if this coin doesn't recover to 300 euros again, you would lose a lot of money. The validator node risk, some proof of stake mechanisms in some cryptocurrency they have implemented punishment for the validator node. For example, if you have built a fraudulent node, or if you have issues with your node, it can be considered as a fraudulent bad node, and it could be punished by burning all the coins. So you'd lose all the coins that you have invested for staking. There are also kind of centralization concerns, which are kind of related to the centralization concerns that we'll discuss in a second. And something from my side, which I see as a negative, is it's a bit more complex, the whole technology, how it works. Also, it depends, each coin, the proof of stake mechanism is a bit different from the proof of stake mechanism to the other coin. It's still in development though. I guess most of those negative sides will be sorted out with the recent developments. And something that's also very important, last but not least, is the bugs. If there's some bug, you could lose also your coins that you have staked. So what's the impact of the mining? Our favorite topic recently. I guess all of you have heard what Elon Musk has said regarding the mining, and that his tweet is considered to be the first thing that collapsed the price of the Bitcoin in the last month. So 100 terawatts, that's the total peak consumption of all the miners around the globe. That's a lot. That's basically the whole energy consumption by Sweden or other kind of mid-range country. All this goes to power the Bitcoin miners. I don't know if you have heard, but China has shut down about 90% of the miners. And in global perspective, 60% of all the guys who mine, or all the companies who mine crypto are based in China, because in China is where all the miners are made, and also the cheapest electricity is also there. But in the last couple of weeks, China has shut down about 60 to 70% of all the miners have been shut down. And actually, I believe the current consumption now is I just checked the graph today. It went down to 70 terawatts. So at the moment it's 70, not 110, because of all the China miners went offline. But this will be a temporary situation. The whole performance of the network, as I said, is measured in hashes. It's between 80 and 180 exahashes, which is a lot. I cannot even explain how powerful this is. And it's also considered that the miners are consuming about 0.5% of the global electricity production, which is also, I would say, a significant number. All right, something that needs to be mentioned, that energy consumption is not equivalent to carbon emissions. And Bitcoin mining, huge big of the Bitcoin miners are using between 40 to 80% of the hydro or green energy sources. So I would say that this is the area that is the most green one around the world. And something interesting that's worth mentioning, that Bitcoin use energy that others can't. For example, if there is a solar power plant in the desert, which produces a lot of electricity, but you don't have the power grid to bring this electricity to cities, you can just bring your mining equipment there in the desert and start mining. Of course, you have other issues with the heat, but you have almost electricity which will be almost free, and it will be entirely green, it will not pollute. So it's something it's worth mentioning. And also something else, that the vast majority of Bitcoin energy consumption happens during the mining process. The energy required to validate the actual transaction is minimal. So most of it's being wasted during the mining. Something that I wanted to say as well, that it's really good from my perspective that China shut down the mining equipment there, because now it's not going to be so centralized. So for in the short term, this is bad news, but in the long term, for me, this is really good news. And at the end, I put some of the articles here that probably you have seen. All those articles are data from the last week. If you start from the Musk that announced that Tesla is walking away from cryptocurrency because the fossil fuels used for Bitcoin mining are polluting. But from my perspective, the manufacturing of the batteries for Tesla are polluting even more. Actually, there is proof for that. It pollutes a lot, but it pollutes the places where it's being manufactured. And also the recycling of the batteries also pollutes a lot. But this is topic of different conversation. Well, something else that people highlighted, that Bitcoin mining uses about 20 to 30 times less energy than the traditional banking system, and half of the energy that's been used by digging the gold mines, and also it pollutes much more than the gold mines. You can check those articles here. I can give you the links at the end of the presentation. So let's a couple of words about the proof of stake. As I said earlier, Ethereum is switching from proof of work to proof of stake. Phase 0 has been recently implemented in December 2012. Phase 1 expected this year. Phase 1.5 and 2, which will be the actual switch to proof of stake, will happen in this phase. Will happen 2022, the earliest, and phase 3 will be after that. Something that expected the next month is very interesting, is the Ethereum Improvement Proposal 1559. It's quite interesting one, because this proposes the change how the Ethereum fee structure works. It tends to change the Ethereum gas fee mechanism by burning some of the mining fees. We'll see how it goes with this one. And here is my last slide, is post the future. Why not? I'm kind of dinosaur man, because I used to work and have experience with the mining. I like mining. I understand it better than the proof of stake, but it seems that the proof of stake will be the future. Here is the place where you can put any comments, questions, or we can start some sort of discussion. What do you think? Would you prefer proof of stake or proof of work? What are your thoughts? Also, if you are not agree with any of my things that I have said during the presentation, now is the time to say. Thanks again for your attention. This is my contacts here, so if anybody wants to contact me, he can do it on LinkedIn, also find me on Facebook or by email. Thank you guys and ladies.
Thanks, Martin. So thanks for the presentation. If anyone wants to question or comment, please drop a message in the chat or just unmute yourself and speak up. So yeah, so just to get the ball rolling, maybe when you were talking about the disadvantages, you had those from the perspective of someone who's mining, not necessarily from the perspective of the network, right?
Yeah, I've tried to do both.
Okay.
I put my perspective, but also put other people's perspective.
Yeah, but my point is, this is like the miner perspective, as in like if you're mining, because for example, one of the things was for proof of stake was like, oh, there is a risk of slashing, which is the penalty, but that's a security mechanism. So it's a con from the perspective of someone who would be a validator, but it's a necessary element from securing the network by providing an economic disincentive to misbehave.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. Actually, I had experience only one with proof of stake. I tried to set up a node on one cryptocurrency, which to be honest, I don't remember, and I lost all the stake. This kind of work in the software, and yeah, I wasn't happy about it. It was like a small amount of money, but still, and as I said, all those advantages which I think to cause proof of stake is partially still in development. And I believe the really good proof of stake mechanism that you'll see this will be Ethereum version 2 that is expected to come in about a year or two. And also this concerns only some currencies, because other actually, I don't know if you're aware, there are some proof of stake mechanisms which will not punish you if you're trying to do bad things, to fraudulent or something. And this is also not a good idea, because a lot of people will try to do double spend, to do some sort of network congestion and so on. So I believe penalties should be there, but should be really well made. The whole penalty mechanism should be really well made and very fair to detect only a real fraudulent nodes, not a node that experience some like a network issue or like internet connection has been dropped and you would get penalty from it. This doesn't make sense. So as I said, the whole proof of stake is still in progress. I believe most of those disadvantages will disappear in the future. Was I clear enough?
Yeah. I'm surprised there are not more comments or questions, because you typically, like especially Bitcoiners, like Bitcoin miners and people who've been in this space from the early days are and haven't moved to consider advantages and disadvantages of other chains, and are just sticking to Bitcoin King. They're very violently opposed to proof of stake, and they have some valid arguments, but I was expecting someone would like hop in and bring them up.
Yeah, I would say I'm not violent against proof of stake. Actually, I understand that this is definitely the future. Like the electric cars, this is also the future. There are some issues with electric cars, for example, as I said, the example with the battery production, but I believe those will be sorted in the future. And something that's worth mentioning, I wanted to highlight that Bitcoin will definitely stay on the proof of work mechanism till 2140. It will be definitely proof of work. All right, I hope you've enjoyed the presentation. If you have any questions, you can also put it in a comment later.
Yeah, if anyone wants to ask a question, just again drop a message. Something else to maybe also note is that proof of work and proof of stake are not the only two consensus mechanisms that are common today. One of the tokens that one of the project that was on the slides, does Dash have like a mix, or was that Decred that did like proof of work and proof of stake?
There are some coins which have hybrid mechanism. For example, on Peercoin, the first one, which I mentioned, he also for some time of its development had used both methods. And also Ethereum during the transition to Ethereum 2.0 is expected to have a hybrid system. Actually, there are other mechanisms. Very good point here. Thank you, Vlad. And there are other consensus mechanisms. I know, for example, proof of storage. There are coins which require some storage to be dedicated for them. I think, if I'm not wrong, Filecoin is kind of using this one. And also there are consensus mechanisms. I wanted to include more information in the slide, but didn't have time to do it. Maybe next time we can discuss it. But currently the most used ones are those two, definitely.
Yeah, there was another one, I think it's called Chia or something that.
Chia coin, yeah.
Yeah, as well, where the idea is that they, so similar to the way Ethereum aims to provide computational power as internet primitive, and basically miners are being rewarded for giving access to that resource. In a similar way, other projects, so like Filecoin and Chia, they want to provide decentralized storage as an infrastructure primitive for a decentralized internet for the decentralized internet, and that's why there you get proof of storage or proof of space. So you're being rewarded for providing a certain resource to the network.
Yeah, some that need to be considered here, that doing that, it kind of destroys your hard drive. I read recently a lot of people complain, especially if you use SSD. It definitely kills your SSD for about a month or two. So if you're going to verify, if you're going to share your hard drive and using the proof of storage mechanism, or what that was called, bear in mind that you should have to do it with a hard disk, not with SSD. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well. Oh yeah. Wait. Do you want to ask a question, George? Yeah, you can just unmute yourself, man.
Cool. Hey, Martin. Thanks for the talk. I wanted to ask this question that I've been thinking about and haven't really gotten a lot of thoughts on how proof of work and proof of stake compare in terms of security. And just to give you a little more context, I listened to this very interesting podcast on the Bankless podcast, where they were talking about the argument for ultrasound money, Ether's ultrasound money, compared to Bitcoin. And basically, the argument that they were making there is that Bitcoin, because of its proof of work, is actually more easily attackable than Ether. Once Ether obviously moves to proof of stake, we're not there yet fully. But because, like, in theory, they said, and I'm just like gonna say it very, very simply. I'm not gonna be saying that these are the right numbers, but just like to give context. Let's say that Bitcoin has a hash rate of whatever, and I'm a malicious actor. I want to destroy Bitcoin. I'm a government. I have endless amount of money, essentially. So I go to a big manufacturer and I say, produce me this amount of mining machines so that I get the most hash rate on the whole network. So this will cost me tens of billions. I don't care. I just pay the money. and I get the miners in 6 months or so. I activate them, and I start doing 51% attacks, and then I screw the network. On the other hand, like if I want to attack the Ethereum network once it's transitioned to proof of stake, then I would actually have to purchase a whole lot of Ether so I can attack the network, which will, I mean, it's harder because then I would probably have to spend much more money, because by buying Ether, I'll keep raising the price of Ether. And so they kind of made this argument. I'm curious if you've thought about this, if you've heard about this. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I heard about it. It's a good point. But bear in mind that if you currently there is no manufacturer that can produce so many mining equipment. You have to wait for about 5 years, at least, all those equipment to be produced. It will cost you a lot of money, as you said, billions, and also you need to have a power source to power the half country of Sweden. And currently there are shortages all around the world for power source. Maybe you need to be like a dictator, stop the power in the whole country, or maybe 2 or 3 countries, dictatorship to be united and to power the miners. Yeah, it might be possible, but it's very unlikely from my point of view. And currently, especially the Bitcoin mining network with all those miners which are doing the mining, I would say it's quite secure. You can eventually do it. You can, for example, try to bribe the mining pools, the largest one, and produce 51% attack. There were arguments, and that's why some of the mining pools split it on 2 different mining pools, or they increase the fee. It's some other preventive thing in order to decrease the number of miners using the mining pool. There were like one case 4 or 5 years ago, which one mining pool was very close to control the almost 45% of the network. It was kind of scary moment for Bitcoin. But currently, nowadays, maybe that was achievable 4 years ago, but nowadays, I don't think this is achievable.
Okay, thanks.
But just a short answer is yes, proof of stake, I would say it might be more secure, because even if you own the 51% of all the coins of the network, you own the 51% of Ethereum, you will like spend billions of dollars to buy 51% of all the Ethereum available, you still cannot control because the algorithm that is used there, it's a bit different. It depends on the amount of money that you have staked, but it also has this randomness. So maybe proof of stake would be considered a little bit more secure in general, but depends. Each coin has its own proof of stake.
Yeah, and in a way, like presumably, even if in the unlikely event that someone gains 51% of the network, their long-term incentive would be to behave, because if they misbehave, they will rapidly devalue the entire network because there will be a loss of trust.
Yeah.
And that also brings to the point that to a certain extent, market cap is a security mechanism, meaning that, you know, the bigger you are, the more resource intensive it would be to capture a sufficiently large portion of the network to become a malicious actor.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, if there are no more questions, I'll thank all of you for joining today, and thanks Martin for the presentation. Also thanks to George and David for their updates from our sponsors, and we'll call it a wrap.
Thank you everybody. Thank you, Vlad, as well.
Thanks everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye.